Welcome to this launch event session about data analysis. My name is Kenny Pontoppidan, and I'm a program manager here in Business Central. And today I'm going to talk about something I think is an amazing new feature, which I also hope that you and your customers will love. Today we're going to talk about what is this data analysis. And I'm going to talk about some some scenarios from finance, sales, inventory, in compliance, and take you through all the little things there is to know about this feature. And then finally, some go-dos if you want to take this home to your customers and make them happy. So what is this data analysis? Well, it is, think of this before, whenever you need to do something related to data, you typically need to run a report and get a PDF document. That was the old way. With this new feature, we just give you self-service data analysis directly in the client. So no need for getting PDF documents where you actually don't need to print things. There are three aspects to this feature. First of all, end users can quickly extract insights from their data directly in Business Central with no need to involve a developer. As an end user, you can design data your way. So on a list, you can define a number of different analyses, and for each of these, you can change the columns, the read order, you can freeze left and right, you can group and pivot data, you can mark cells for fact checking, you can even easily just drag and drop, not drag and drop, but you can mark data and copy it to Excel, or you can export all of the data to Excel or PowerPoint. And of course, each of these analyses you do will just be saved, so next time you return to that page, they're there for you to pick up. Now, before I go into actually showing the feature, this is something that we put in public preview for the April release here. And that means that you need to enable the feature under feature management. So someone in your organization with administrator rights needs to open this feature management page and find this enable analysis mode, as we sometimes call it, and just enable it, and then it will be enabled for all users. And for each list, almost every list in the system, you now have this analyze toggle. And when you switch that, you have these new additional analysis capabilities. And I'm going to show you everything there is to know about this. So stay tuned. So before I do that, we have some words to describe the different areas, because this is a very new user interface that you haven't seen before. So there are three areas of this screen that I will give some names to refer to. The first one is the tabs pane. This is because you can easily define multiple analysis tabs on the same data. So that's what happens up here in the tabs pane. Then we have the data area. This is where the fun happens. This is where your data is shown. This is where you can mark things and get easily descriptive statistics. And you can also export data from this area. And then finally, what we call the field modifier area consists of two places here. One that controls the columns to show, and the second one defines additional filters that is local to the analysis you're doing right now. And before I go into the demo, let me just reiterate on that. Data analysis is something that happens on the list data you have. That means that you can filter on the list, you can set filters, you can use different views to kind of get to the data set that you want. And once you have set that, then you turn on analysis, and in here you then do one or more analysis on that data set, right? So that's how this works. And the additional filters allow you, from the original filters on the global dataset, you can then, for one specific tab, say, I only want this tab to be 2023 data and this tab to be 2022 data, and so on. So you can set these additional filters are local to the tab and not to the full data set. All right, so instead of me showing you capabilities, why don't we just go in and do some demos to actually show how data analysis can work in the daily life of a person who works in sales, in finance, or with inventory. So let's switch over to the demo and I'll show you that. All right, so here we are in Business Central. And the first thing I want to analyze is my customer sales. Which of my customers am I selling the most to? So my customer top 10 or top 20 list. Whenever I sell something, this is posted to the customer ledger entry table or ledger. So let's try to analyze that. Let me search for customer ledger entries. See if we find something here. And if I go to this list, I have already enabled the analysis feature. So therefore I have the toggle. Let's try to turn it on. And what you see here is we're getting into a new user interface. Up in the tabs area here, tabs pane, I can add multiple tabs if I want to. For now, we'll just stick with this first one. And then we would like to analyze data. So the first thing that I typically do is I move my mouse to the right to these two areas. And on the columns menu here, I always start by removing all the columns or the fields so that I'm ready to drag in things I want. So for my customer sales, I would like to look at customer number. Let's see if we can find the customer name. Here, I'll drag that to row groups. And then I would like to also put in the document number of the sale, for the document with the sale. And the things I would like to see up here is how much did I sell and what are they owing me. So let me have a look at that. I have amount, I'll pick that. And I have remaining amount here. And now I'm actually done getting the things I want. So I'll close the columns menu. And the first thing I notice here is that it doesn't really wrap well. So let me just fix that. I have a small burger here where I can say auto size all columns to fit. Oh, that's nice. And now I have customer name, document number, and I have all the amounts and the remaining amounts. And I can simply go here on amount and say I would like to sort. I can actually just do that here. Sort by amount. Then I see my, here, School of Fine Art. They are the biggest customer. And it seems like they're also the ones who owe me the most. So this is my customer top 10 or top N. If I had 100 customers here, I would just have 100. So I could just call this, and I just double clicked that tab, just like you would do in Excel. Customer top N, rename, there you go. That's your first analysis, customer top N. You don't even need to write a report. You didn't need to run a report. You just get it. And by the way, I could also just mark these three and notice down here that you already get descriptive statistics on these chosen fields or columns or cells. The average is 22,300. There you pick 3, minimum, maximum, and sum. Just like you would have in Excel, now you have it directly in Business Central Client. All right. But we are not done with our analysis on customers. Let's also have an interest in finance. And in finance, we have aged accounts receivables, which is how much does my customers owe me. And I would like to try to see if I can make that analysis here as well. So let's open a new analysis tab on the same data set. And the first thing we want to do always is go to columns and just remove everything here so we are ready for a new analysis. Now, this time, we are interested in analyzing by customer. So we'll need that customer name again. See if I can find that. Customer name. I'll drag that into row groups here. And then I want to see the amount they owe me. This is the remaining amount. So I'll just put that in here. So just like before, but now I turn on pivot mode. So you notice this toggle up here. If I click that, I get a new area here in the columns menu, which is the columns label. This allows me to pivot data. And you know, in pivot mode, you get all the measures here. And I actually only want the one for remaining amount. So I will just get rid of most of these measures and say I'm just remaining amount. The rest can go. So let's get rid of those. There you go, remaining amount. And then I want to pivot this over months or quarters. So what I need to do now is go up and see if I can find the posting date. And notice something here that analysis mode adds for each date, not only the date, but also a date hierarchy of year, quarter, month, right? So I can actually drag in the year to columns here. And now I get a pivot table for 2022, 2023. I can drag in the next part of the hierarchy, quarter. And if I do that, I get my analysis expanded to the quarters of the years. So if I remove, if I hide this columns, you can see that I have my aged accounts receivable report now that is pivoted into quarters and years. And it seems like 2022 was a bad year, so let me just get rid of that and then only focus on 2022, where we only sold goods in quarter first and second quarter. Now, if I don't have any data here for 2022, why don't we just remove this from this analysis tab? So instead of filtering on the original list, I can just go into additional filters and say for posting date year, I just want to say 2023. And there you go. Now I filtered my analysis for this particular tab to only have data for 2023. And you see the power of pivot directly in the client, where I can very easily do my accounts receivables by year and quarter. And I'm not allowed to put that, so year, quarter, by year. I think I found a bug. I'll fix that. Let's just double click accounts receivables by year and by year plus quarter. It seems like I have some boundaries of how big my tabs can be. There you go. I told you that these analysis tabs are saved. So let's just check that. If I go back to my list here and then turn analysis on again, you can see my data tabs here or analysis tabs have been saved. Now, what if I want my accounts receivables mini report or analysis, whatever you want to call it. I want that to be the first one that is opened when I go into this analysis mode. So I can simply open this menu on the tab and arrange that and move it to the left, and now it's here. If we open this, you can see that I can rename. I can copy an existing tab if I have something very similar that I want to do. And I can delete one or all tabs if I want to do that. What else? So we saw additional filters. We saw picking columns. Oh, let's just a few more things. What if I want this column to come always to the right? Well, I can just pin that to the right. And now, no matter what I put in of columns here, this will always stay on the right. This is similar to what you can do in Excel. In Excel, these are just called freeze. We might call them freeze in this user interface before the feature gets generally available. Let's put in one more column into this. Let's put in posting date. And if I do so, notice it, because this is grouped, it doesn't show right away, but it does show when we actually get into the lowest level in this grouping hierarchy. Now I can drag and drop these as I want. So if I want posting date here, that's perfectly fine. I can, on this menu, auto size different ways. I can, if I have column headers that are multiple words, I can wrap them. So if I have a lot of these, they can go on separate lines. I can reset all my filters. This is important to know. The analysis filters that you put over here have an easy way to reset all of them up here. There is no reset all in this menu, at least not yet. What else? I showed you the marking and auto statistics. I can also mark data. Let's say let's just get rid of this grouping and just put customer name in a grid here. I can then mark some columns, and if I right click, I can copy these with headers and just paste these into Excel if I want to, or any other thing that understands. This will just be a tabular separated data set that you can copy anywhere. Or if you want the full report, or whatever we call this, I can right click on the data area and I can choose export and get it in Excel. And now I have export to Excel right here, where you can see the data set. This also works for grouped data or for pivoted data. You can get the data out in a CSV file if that is what you want. Right, so we saw demos of sales and finance with analysis. Let's look at an example from inventory. So what I would like to show you is how easy it is to do a pivot to see return goods based on return reason. Now, unfortunately, on my demo data here, I don't have good return code. So I can just show you this in a screenshot. I hope that's okay. So I'll go back to the deck and show you how this looks and explain how you would do this. Right, so I have opened the item ledger entries table and or list, and by default, the return code is not part of that list. So what I did was I went in and personalized the list to add it. And once I've done that, the return code is available on my list of fields here, or list of columns. For this analysis, I dragged in the return code and the item number to group by. So we can see different return codes. I have scratches, paint, other, and so on. And then I have decided that I want to see how many and the value of this. So I put these into the summerable parts here and turned on pivot mode, and then did a grouping by posting date quarter to see, kind of what is the quality of my goods? How are they returned for different reasons over quarter and by item, by the way. So over here I get them by item. So very easy analysis to do. And actually, if you think of this, many of the ledger tables in Business Central can be pivoted in smart ways to give tons of insights, financial insights, sales insights, your inventory, and so on. To make that super easy, we compiled a list or a catalog of scenarios that you can try. After this presentation, just go and enable this feature and play around with it. I'm pretty sure that you will find many more clever ways to use analysis that we haven't even thought of. So I'll just show you a few examples here, and then let's move on to a different area which is not so functional, which would be compliance. But let's have a look at a few examples. Salesperson bonus overview. So here, instead of looking at the customer ledger entries, I actually look at the posted sales invoices, because I just want to reward my salespeople by the things they sell, and that's here in the sales invoices, not necessarily based on the ledgers. So here I have a list of the different salespeople, what customer group and customer name, and what did they sell over different quarters. So sales by salesperson over quarters, pivot, a few clicks, and that is available for you right there. Another example, order summary over customers. This would be sales order lists, and here I pivot with sell to customer and the order number. The amount is something we sum over, and then for the headers here, we again choose the document date year and in this case month. Aged account receivables, we saw that. There are two different ways you could look at that, either by customer or the other way around, where you want to see by customer and then by year. So tons of different ways to analyze, totally up to you how you want to do that. Okay, let's switch to a different type of analysis. Let's look at data as seen from maybe a compliance point of view. An administrator who would like to go in and check some things in Business Central. Because there's no reason why data analysis should be confined to the ledgers. How about we open up the changelog? The changelog entries is a list, and by pivoting, we can get a very, very simple understanding of who changed what when, and what were the values to and from. So this is not even a pivot. This is just showing by user ID in grouping, and then choosing the data you want from the changelog. Another example that could be interesting in compliance is not who changed what when, but more, let's look at a data item and see the movements on that. It's the same, data is the same, it's just a changelog. But now we group by user and by table and field. You can see here that I have the user table and the contact email, and then all the changes down here that happened on this field. We can see that admin and V-P did some modifications. We can see the dates, the to and from values. So again, an example of the same data set pivoted in different ways, just gives you different mini reports or different analysis. Who changed what when, or data changes by table field. A similar exercise is a license overview. If you go to the users list, you could just analyze that and group it by state and license type. And now you have a very easy overview, as seen from Business Central, what types of users are enabled, disabled, and what license type did they have. So again, there's no need to write a report for that. Just go in and analyze your data. So for this to really shine in the hands of a data analyst, I just want to recap all the little things, all the small details that will make this tool super useful for you when you use it. Row counts. I didn't actually show you that, or maybe you noticed. There's always the row count shown on the bottom of the page. And if you set additional filters, you get that shown as well. I showed you how you could mark cells for easy descriptive statistics. If you mark them, you get that small overview down here. I showed you that you can choose columns to show. You can clear all columns, very important. Click that small rectangle next to search. That you can group data by row groups. We saw examples of the year, quarter, month hierarchy on all date fields. Can be very handy if you want to track things over time, but don't want the granularity of dates. You saw examples of pivoting data by row group. And even if you enable this pivot mode, that when you add the column labels, you have this nice matrix of rows and columns and data in between. You saw how you can set additional filters over here. And notice that these are local to the active tab. So you can have the same lists, the global list. You can add as many analysis tabs as you want. And these different settings, both the columns, pivot, and filters, they are local to the tab. You can drag and drop columns, we saw that. You can pin to left and right or freeze, whatever name you want to give that. I didn't actually show you, but if the lists allow peek in the normal list view, this peek is actually also possible to do peek to detail or open card when you go to this analysis mode. So that can be very handy if you want to maybe go in and check some more details on a customer or another card. You saw how we can add new tabs, and of course we can rename, copy, and delete all of these from the tabs menu. We arranged, we saw examples of marking data and copy it. If you right-click that in the data area, you can copy directly to Excel. And you saw also this example of exporting data to Excel or CSV by right-clicking on the data area. So actually, through the very few demos, you have been through all the features in data analysis, and the rest is up to you. How do you get started? Well, as I mentioned, we prepared a catalog of scenarios for you. For this URL, https://aka.ms/bc data analysis. This takes you to a place, it's on GitHub, but it doesn't really matter. It's just a web page where we highlighted, I believe it's 15 different data analysis scenarios. There's an area like sales, finance, and so on. We have a scenario described, what is it that you want to achieve. And then there's a step-by-step instructions, like go here, open analysis mode, click this, click this, click this. To make it even easier, there is direct link for the data foundation. If you click that link, it just takes you to the table where you need to enable analysis, data analysis, and a list of the fields that are interesting in this analysis, as well as the built-in reports in Business Central where you could do this as well, if they exist. So take a look at this catalog, try them out. There are examples with Pivot, without Pivot, and hopefully if you've been through a few of these, you will come up with more. And if you do, let me know and I will add them if they make sense for all customers in the world. There's another thing that happens here on this page, this web page, and that is the presentation I showed you, some of the screenshots of the pre-baked analysis. They exist as PowerPoint decks directly here on GitHub. So if you want to do a lunch presentation, if you're a partner maybe for your colleagues, if you are a partner maybe present something for a customer, if you want to present at a conference, if you are a customer and want to show it to your colleagues, you can either take the analysis scenario deck and just show the different ways to do different of these scenarios. Each of the scenarios that I in the catalog has a page on that deck. And if you want to go through this capabilities, this all the little things, that's the second deck. You can use that for your presentation, copy paste, it's all open source. So go out and be a data hero and present and hopefully use this data analysis. So that's it. Some go-dos. Go enable the feature management. Give it a try with a few users. You cannot turn it on and off by user, so it's either or. If you don't want it for all users, then turn it off. It's in public preview and will likely be there until October. Try out some of these out-of-the-box scenarios. So go to this aka.ms/BC data analysis and try this out. Make your own collection of scenarios and let us know if you discover other things that we should share with the world. Train your colleagues. Take these PowerPoint decks, do presentations, prepare a lunch session or go do a conference session and be a data hero. And very important, this is in public preview, not because we think this is not ready, but because we think this deserves to be a lovable feature, and whatever small things we can do to really make it shine, which I think it does already, let us know. Give us feedback. If you are a partner, there's a Yammer thread for that. That is in the release note. If you are a customer, maybe go through your partner or contact me. I'm sure you can find me on social media. And tell us how we can make this even better. And with that, I would like to say thank you. Go out, analyze, and save the world. Thank you.